With 30 June fast approaching, let's make sure you don't miss out on any tax savings with superannuation. I've spoken in the past about concessional contributions and how beneficial they can be, but today we'll talk about carry forward contribution to make sure you're not leaving any of them on the table. So with concessional contributions, you have a cap of $27,500, going to $30,000 next year. And included in this cap is your employer contributions, currently 11%, going to 11.5% next year. So if you earn $100,000, that's $11,000 each year taken off of your concessional cap just from your employer contributions. That leaves $16,500 left over. Now in the past, the concessional cap was use it or lose it. So if you didn't use that $16,500 in this example for this year, you never got that opportunity again. But going back a few years ago, the government brought in a scheme of carry forward contributions. So from 2018-19, any contributions in those years and thereafter that you didn't utilise, you could re-access those. So with carry forward contributions, you can access up to 5 of the previous financial years. So that's this financial year and the previous 5. So going back 5 previous financial years, that takes us back to 2018-19. So this is the first year where you actually lose a year of contributions. So there's naturally been a bit more talk about it. So like with everything with superannuation, there's always terms and conditions. The first one is your balance had to be under $500,000 as at 30 June of the previous year. So in 30 June 2023, for this obviously financial year, your balance had to be less than $500,000. So if it was above that, unfortunately you just get access to whatever your cap is this year. The other thing is that you actually have to maximize this financial year and then you start eating into those previous years, starting from the earliest one. So in that example where you had $16,500 left in this year, and let's say that you had $16,500 left in 2018-19, that means that you'd have to contribute $16,500 to maximize this financial year's contribution cap, and then anything in excess of that, that starts eating into the $16,500 from 2018 and 19, and if you go over that, into the 19, 20 and so forth. So one consequence of having to maximize this financial year, and then it starts dipping into the previous financial year, is you're always going to be chasing that previous financial year. So naturally there's a lot of stress at the moment leading up to 30 June with people feeling like they're going to miss out on the opportunity because they'll never get access to that 18-19 contribution again. And obviously, as I said, you have to maximize this financial year and then the previous financial year. So with that in mind, naturally always try and optimize your superannuation. If it's causing you stress and it's going to leave you short of cash before retirement or anything like that, just try and do what you can. So I've put together a calculator just to show what's available and also what the benefit of that is. And you can see that in the link here. So what you can see, if you add up the 5 previous financial years plus this year, that gives you $157,500. So if you hadn't contributed anything this financial year or the previous 5 financial years, that's a maximum contribution of $157,500. So let's say you're retired or you're self-employed or for whatever reason you hadn't contributed to super and now you have a large windfall, like you sell an investment property or something, that means you can contribute $157,500 to reduce the capital gain in that example, and you get a tax deduction in that situation. So I've included this calculator, but because the contribution can potentially be so high, there is the risk that you can actually be worse off. So you just want to make sure that you don't contribute too low so that your taxable income's close to zero, because then you're paying contribution tax on the way in on that $157,500, whereas you wouldn't have otherwise on that component below the threshold. So in terms of implementation, you can hop onto MyGov and see what contributions you've made in the past and what's available, and then you can actually input what contribution you'd like to make into this calculator. From there, I'd probably make sure you do this quite shortly. So usually super funds, they have a deadline, so it's probably going to be around 21st of June or somewhere around that. So it's not actually 30 June because they naturally have to do their admin beforehand. So that's about it today for carry forward contributions. If you'd like more Australian personal finance tips, please subscribe and I'll see you next time.